It is now 5 p.m. on Tuesday, March 10th, 2026. This meeting of the Clean Independent School District Board of Trustees is now called to order. The following trustees are present and participating: Susan Jones, Vice President; Brenda Adams, Secretary; Marvin Rainwater, Board Member; Oliver Mintz, Board Member; Tina Capito, Board Member; Rodney Gilchrist, Board Member; and me, Brett Williams, President and Presiding Officer. For the record, a quorum has been established and is present. A recording of this meeting is being made and will be available to the public at a later date. We're also streaming this meeting on our cable channel 17 and on the district's webpage. As a reminder, anyone wishing to speak at public forum must submit their sign-up sheet at this time. We have two individuals at this time signed up for public comment. The first individual I have is James Tenner. Welcome.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. Davis. I'm James Tenner, President of the Cleveland Non-Black Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. I'll only be before you briefly today. I would like to thank you for your effort each and every day on behalf of the men of Kappa Alpha Psi. We understand the responsibilities that each of you shoulder. The task of leading and guiding our youth into the future, it isn't easy, but I would like to thank you, each and every one of you, for that effort. Specifically, I would like to thank Dr. King Davis for his continued support of our youth and the continued support of those individuals within our community and your vision for this school district. The gentlemen within our organization and our youth that we mentor truly appreciate the time that you took out and the words of wisdom that you bestowed upon us. Some of our young men, they actually walk around their schools with a little chip on their shoulder. They actually feel like they're a little better than some of them because Dr. King Davis has been to our foundation house and gave them some words of wisdom. So we truly appreciate that. Dr. Davis, I would definitely and really like to thank you for your support and continued effort that you give to this community. Also, the members of the board, thank you for each and every one of you for what you do. As I said, I would be here very briefly. I would like to leave you with this quote, sir. Adversity caused some men to break, but other men to break records. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Terry Delano. Welcome, Mr. Delano. I didn't state our normal ritual, but I know that as a former trustee, you know it's 3 minutes. State your name and address.
Right, I'll be watching the clock. Terry Delano, 514 Lobo Trail, Harker Heights. First of all, I just want to thank you, Dr. Davis, and members of the board. I know what kind of pressures you are under. I know you're facing things that we never had to face as I was on the board almost a decade ago. So I just want to thank you for your service and your commitment to public education. I appreciate it. What I wanted to speak about tonight is the student protest that occurred a few weeks ago. I know that I've messaged several of the board members and just shared with them. I wrote a little note and shared with them some of my thoughts. And one of the things I just wanted to point out, there's a group of high school students who make me proud. Those students who stayed in class the day of the protest. These are the kids who respected the rules, authority, and the taxpayer. These are the kids who most likely place a high value on education. I also think it's worth mentioning those students who protested on their own time, I respect them as well. They did their protest on their own time, and I respect them as well. They too are to be celebrated and respected for the rules that they showed. For students who walked out of class, there must be consequences. If not, we are setting a precedent of walking out of class for whatever might be the trending social justice movement. Furthermore, we will be lowering the bar for expectations. Protesting and making one's grievances known can be at one's own time, at one's own expense, not the expense of the taxpayer, and should never disrupt the education of others, thereby infringing on the rights of others. And I'm here today to support this board and this superintendent and the administration on whatever means that they see fit to accomplish this. But I just think that if we lower our expectations and our standards, we really risk, as I said, a walkout for whatever social justice movement comes along. And this is on taxpayer time. I respect anybody's right to do it at their own time, but this is on taxpayer time. This is funded by the taxpayer. And I see I'm running out of time really quickly. I just wanted to mention one other thing, and I hope I haven't heard anything about any teachers that instigated this or anything, so I don't know if that happened or not, but I just want to share one thing with you really quick. There was a teacher at Eastern Hills Middle School that my son had, a science teacher, that taught kids not what to think, but how to think. She gave them two documentaries on climate change. One of those supported man-made climate change. The other one disputed those facts. She showed them both documentaries and let the students make up their own mind. That's another thing that concerns me with public education, to teach kids not what to think, but how to think. So I think that in regards to this walkout, I just hope that the district will uphold the standards of education, and I'm here to support in whatever way I can to support that. So I want to thank you again for the job that you do and you know, the work that you put into this and your support for public education. Thank you. I got 9 seconds left, but I'll leave it there.
Thank you, sir. All right, as we have no one else signed up for public forum, we're closing that, and we're moving to agenda item number 2, closed session. The board will now convene in closed session for any combination of the following items. Agenda item 2A, level 3 parent grievance as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.0821, 551.071. Agenda item 2B, rescission of the December 16th, 2025 proposal to terminate the professional term contract of Ryan Byrne as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.071, 551.074. Agenda item 2C, consultation with legal counsel regarding pending or contemplated litigation in matters involving personally identifiable student information, including discussion of a proposed settlement agreement to resolve special education disputes involving TEA docket number 131-SC-1125 as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.071, 551.0821. Agenda item 2D, consultation with legal counsel regarding legal requirements and personnel assignment for disciplinary alternative education program, DAEP, program is allowed by Texas Government Code 551.071 and 551.074. Agenda item 2E, discussion regarding superintendent's contract recommendation for deputy superintendent for learning services as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.074. Agenda item 2F, consultation with the district's legal counsel regarding pending litigation, a settlement offer, or other issues confidential under the attorney-client privilege as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.071. Agenda item 2G, deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.072. Agenda item 2H, deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.074. And finally, agenda item 2I, deliberate a matter regarding a public school student in which personally identifiable information about the student will necessarily be revealed as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.0821. No voting will take place in closed session. Any action the board wishes to take as a result of discussions in closed session will take place after the board reconvenes in the open meeting. The time is now 5:08 p.m. and we're in closed session, and we'll go into the superintendent's conference room. It is now 6:01 p.m. and we are reconvening from closed session. No action or voting took place in closed session. No action is needed. This meeting of the Clean Independent School District Board of Trustees will resume in accordance with the posted agenda for today's meeting. Anyone who did not have an opportunity to speak during public forum at 5 p.m. and wishing to speak must submit their sign-up sheet at this time. A recording of this meeting is being made and will be available to the public at a later date. We're also streaming this meeting on our cable channel 17 and on the district's webpage. Agenda item number 3, public forum. The board will now hear comments from those who signed up to speak. Per board policy, each public comment is limited to 3 minutes. I will ask the audience to please refrain from any public outbursts and to maintain decorum. Parents, employees, and citizens are encouraged to utilize the district's grievance process to the fullest extent possible. Related policies are available on the district's website or upon request. For the record, we ask that all public forum participants begin by stating their name and the city in which they reside. Once complete, your 3 minutes will begin. I've signed up to speak. Joseph Baez. Welcome.
Why was it not chosen? And yes, this work regarding unacceptable schools have been known for years. Trustee Adams, if ACE is another option, why would you vote to approve this performance contract? During the meeting, Trustee Rainwater stated to Dr. Osborne, and I quote, "Yes, ma'am, and I understand that, but at the end of the day, we're still losing money. We're still paying them." Dr. Osborne's response, and I quote, "Yes, sir, that's correct." Trustee Rainwater, if you understand it and the district is losing money, why would you vote to approve the performance contract? Trustees, why would any one of you vote to approve the performance contract? It is because it absolves you of responsibility and accountability for Maynard Middle School. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Want to confirm we have no one else signed up for public comment? Is that correct? All right, we are closing public forum, and we are moving to agenda item number 4, the consent agenda. A, receive and approve minutes for February 10, 2026 workshop meeting. B, receive and approve minutes for the February 17th, 2026 regular meeting. Trustees, these items can be approved in one vote or one can be removed. What is your wish? Madam Secretary.
Mr. President, I move to accept the consent agenda item 4A and 4B as written.
We have a motion by Secretary Adams. We have a second by Madam Capito. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, show of hands. We have 6 in favor. Those opposed? We have
I'm not opposed, I abstain.
those in favor, show of hands again. We have 6 in favor. Those opposed? None. Those abstaining? 6-0, 1 vote with Vice President Jones abstaining. We'll now go to 5, which is action items for consideration. I want to state for the public record, 5-1, consideration and approval of the performance contract with Third Future Schools for the operation of Maynard Middle School for 2026 through 2029. We will not take up that agenda item tonight. This item will be moved to our next regular scheduled board meeting. We'll now go to agenda item 2 under agenda item 5-2 under action items for consideration. And it's consideration of the recurring contracts exceeding the aggregate threshold per policy CH local. Welcome, Mr. Scott Heckenberg, as well as Callan Vaden.
Good evening, members of the board. When we brought to you the change to CH local earlier this year, we promised that as part of that change, we would come back to you mid-year and give you an update on the contracts that have exceeded the $3 million aggregate threshold as part of that policy adjustment. What you see on the slide in front of you are those 5 contracts that are exceeding that $3 million threshold and the service provided. The first, obviously, is Bartlett Cook, and that is the construction towards the new admin building. That's what that cost is associated with. ESS is our substitute staffing contract that provides substitutes to all of our campuses when we have vacancies. Escala is a roofing company that's primarily the Pratt Roofing project. And then food services for our daily, school nutrition programs for all 3 meals, and then BKCW, our insurance provider. Are there any questions on those amounts? And we will continue this rolling aggregate threshold throughout the year as promised.
Questions from trustees for Mr. Heckenberg? Thank you, sir. We appreciate your time. Trustees, what is your desire? Trustee Gilchrist.
Mr. President, I move to approve the list of recurring contracts exceeding the aggregate threshold per policy CH local as presented.
We have a motion by Trustee Gilchrist. We have a second by Madam Capito. Any further discussion by trustees? Mr. Rainwater.
One question, what's the time period span of this information
It's for the aggregate year, so for the rollover from one school year budget to the other.
for this aggregate school?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions from trustees? So we have a motion by Trustee Gilchrist and a second by Madam Capito. There being no discussion, all those in favor, show of hands. We have 7 in favor, none in opposition. Thank you very much. We'll now go to 3, which is consideration of the resolution approving the sale of real property located at 108 West Jasper Drive, Killeen, Texas, 76542 to the city of Killeen. Welcome, Mr. Adam Rich.
Thank you, sir. So the former Bel Air Elementary School was decommissioned in the summer of 2021 with the opening of the new Clifton Park Elementary School. The Bel Air Elementary School property is approximately 6 acres and includes a 54,700 square foot school building that's about 60 years old, with an additional 4,000 square foot freestanding activity building. The district currently pays approximately $90,000 to $100,000 per year to maintain and insure this facility as well. Typically, when we have decommissioned facilities, staff will reach out to the cities and municipalities to inquire about interest in the properties. And for this property, the city of Killeen advised that they are interested in acquiring it to serve as a site for a new fire station number 5 that would replace their existing fire station, currently about a quarter mile down Jasper Road from Bel Air Elementary School. District staff received an appraisal that values the property at $803,000, and in accordance with Texas Government Code, we are able to sell the property at the appraised value to the city of Killeen. The administrative recommendation is to approve the proposed resolution approving the property sale to the city of Killeen as presented, and if that's approved, we'll have 60 days for the city to do inspections and due diligence, and then 30 days to close on the property.
Questions from trustees? Thank you, Mr. Rich. Madam Capito.
I move to approve the proposed resolution approving the property sale to the city of Killeen and related action as presented.
We have a motion by Madam Capito. We have a second by Secretary Adams. Any further discussion by trustees? There being none, all those in favor, show of hands. All right, we have 7 in favor, none in opposition. Passes by a 7-0 vote. Okay, the time is now 6:11 PM, and I'm calling a brief 5-minute recess. All right, it's 6:19 PM, and we are reconvening after a brief recess, and we are now going to agenda item 6, information items for discussion. Item A, discussion of Texas Academic Performance Report, Progress Report, or Early Childhood Reading and Math and Career, College, and Military Readiness, CCMR, Goals, Information from Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, PEAMS, Financial Standards Reports, Report on Violent or Criminal Incidents, and Public Hearing. Ms. Sills, Ms. Vaden, Ms. Shen, and Chief Hydorn are all present and accounted for. Welcome.
Board President, Board of Trustees, Dr. Davis, thank you for having us this evening. We will be sharing information on our Texas Academic Performance Report for the
I apologize for the interruption. I just want to state this for the record. As a reminder, anyone wishing to speak pertaining to the Texas Academic Performance Report should submit their sign-up sheet at this time. All comments must be related to the Texas Academic Performance Report. We will have that public hearing after this presentation is concluded. My apologies.
No
Back to you.
worries. The items about which we'll be discussing are listed on this slide. As a general reminder, I would like to just bring about the fact that the data that we're going to be looking at is the final consolidated data of the 24-25 school year. So that means all the data that we'll look at is from last school year, with the exception of graduation and CCMR. That will come from our 2024 cohort. In looking at our student distribution, we can see that roughly 85% of our student population is comprised of our African American, Hispanic, and white subpopulations. As far as our student membership, we did see roughly a 1,000 member decrease in our student population from the 2024 to the 2025 school year. This slide just represents our special programs and special populations. On the right-hand side, you can see the student count. As we look at the corresponding percentages in the bar graph, I'd just like to point out that we did have a decrease in our economically disadvantaged from 2024 to 2025 of about 4.1%. We also saw a decrease in our Section 504. We saw about a 3% increase in special education. The other subpopulations that are on there remain relatively stable. Our staff information, we did see a decrease of about 100 staff members from 2024 to 2025. And again, like our students, the three subpopulations that comprise 92% of our staff population are African American, Hispanic, and white subpopulations. Our average years of experience at the campus leadership level does exceed the state. When we look at our teacher average years of experience, we are below the state. The next section we'll focus on is accountability, for results-driven accountability, A through F accountability, and also our distinction designations. First and foremost, our district is still accredited. Pardon me. One of the accountability systems that is in the state of Texas is results-driven accountability, and this evaluates special populations. One of those populations that is evaluated is special education. What we see on this slide is that we did see some, pardon me, improvement in our determination levels from 2024 to 2025. It is rated on a determination level of 1 through 4, and 1 is the best. So when we were in 2024 at a level 3, the state had to be involved in our strategic support plan. But with the improvement that was made at the determination level 2, we were able to now keep our strategic support plan locally in our district improvement plan without support from TEA, so marked improvement there. This slide might look familiar. This was shared by Dr. Osborne at the beginning of the school year. What it does show that our campus ratings does resemble a normal bell curve, with the majority of our campuses being rated as C. It is the district's goal to have that positively skewed distribution, with the majority of the campuses being rated an A or a B. As I take you to the left side of the screen, you can see that we are addressing the unacceptable years of performance of our 3F campuses through a turnaround plan or a targeted improvement plan. Again, as Dr. Osborne shared at the beginning of the school year, we did have some campuses that had distinction designations, 21 in fact, 13 at the elementary level, 8 at the secondary level. What we're looking at here is that each campus is compared, thank you so much, is compared to 40 other campuses with like characteristics and demographics. When they're comparing the campuses, they are looking at items such as their performance in reading, math, science, closing the gaps, things of that nature. And if the campus is in the top quartile, then it will receive a distinction designation. The STAR performance that we will discuss was originally shared in July. So any of the real-time data for this current school year is being shared with you through the System Scorecard Priority 1 updates. When looking at our all students, all subjects collectively, we see that our data over the 4 years that is presented on this slide has remained relatively stable. With that last year, we saw an increase at the approaches, an increase at the meets, a decrease at the approaches, and we stayed the same at the master's performance level. I want to calibrate a little bit on this slide so we all are aware of how we're reading it. If I take you to the top left, we can see that that is for our all students. The black bar is for our state. The gray bar is for our district. When we look at that graph, we can see the two numbers at the top, the 50 and the 42, represent the percent of students that are at the meets or above level. The numbers in the center is the comparative data from 2024 to 2025. So if you see a positive number, we improved. If it's a negative number, we decreased. And if you see a double dash, that means we remained the same. So in comparing the district and the state, we can see that we had a range from 2% in our Hispanic population to 10% point difference at our white student group. Overall, improvement trends are in alignment with the state. Still looking at all of our students collectively and looking at our special programs or special populations, again, you can see that the trends that we do not have as wide of a disparity between the district and the state among these three subpopulations, and our improvement in EcoDis and special education are in alignment with the state. Shifting to our reading performance, we can see that it remained relatively the same from 2024 to 2025. We had an increase at the district level and at the state level in masters, and a decrease at the district level in meets. We do see that we have just a 2% difference between the district and the state at the approaches. However, that gap does widen as we go to the meets and the masters at 7 points and 8 points respectively. In math, we do see some inconsistent growth at each of those performance levels, with a 2% decrease at the approaches and a 2% increase at masters. We do see a 7-point deviation between this district and the state for approaches and masters, but that 10% deviation exists at the meets performance level. For science, general increase overall. The state did outperform the district at all performance levels. And for social studies, we did see a general decrease with, again, the district lagging behind the state at all performance levels. I'm going to pause. Is there any questions?
Questions from trustees?
Okay. So we will now look at the attendance, graduation, and CCMR. Our average daily attendance continues to improve, and we are in alignment with the state. Our chronic absenteeism, when we're looking at the 2023 to the 2024 school year, we see a decrease, just as the state did, but we are still 3% above the state with chronic absenteeism. Our graduation rates, the district has seen an improvement in the four-year graduation rate for both the state and federal accountability. CCMR, we continue to outperform the state in our CCMR earnings. And as you can see by the graph, we can see that the majority of our students are earning CCMR through college readiness platforms. The last section that I'll be sharing with you is the performance in post-secondary institutions. The Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board tracks the GPA, the grade point average rather, of our students who graduated from a Texas school and their enrollment in a Texas institution. So this slide here is of our 2024 graduates. And if they enrolled in college in a 4-year public university or a 2-year public college in the fall of 2024, spring of 2025, or summer of 2025, they captured the grade point average. So in looking at the 2,561 students that graduated in 2024, 953 of them enrolled in a 4-year public university or 2-year public college. That's about 37.2%. The main takeaway of this slide is for you to compare the 2023 graduates to the 2024 graduates. And as you can see that we had a shift in the students who are earning a GPA of 2.5 or above when comparing those two graduating cohorts. All right. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to talk through just briefly what we do with this information at the campus level. So Don has shared the district taper. Each campus also receives their own. And so the taper comes out well after the initial data. So the initial data is used by our campuses to complete their needs assessment, which is part of their campus improvement plan. When the taper comes out, that data is reviewed and becomes part of their quarterly formative review of their CIP. There are elements in the taper that do not come out with initial data, such as staff rates, experience, demographic data. Those things get to be relooked at and added to their needs assessment as they're tracking how they're working towards addressing the needs they identified. Right now, on our district website, the mid-year review of campus improvement plans have been posted. The link remains the same, so for any community member that is interested or board members at www.cleanisd.org/CIP, They can view the original CIP as well as where campuses are at mid-year in their formative evaluation of the progress they've made. And that will be up through the remainder of the year. I'm so sorry.
No, Mr. Rainwater.
Please don't think I'm being mean. I need to know what specific things you do to our low-performing schools in terms of a campus improvement plans, and what things have been done to help those low-performing schools before we get in the crisis we're in now. Because a general improvement of a campus improvement plan based on some generic stuff doesn't help our kids perform.
Sure.
And I'm asking how much particular attention do we pay to those low-performing schools in their campus improvement plans?
We pay quite a lot of attention to
Give me an
all-
example. Don't tell me
Absolutely.
a lot. Give me an example.
I'm heading that direction. The evaluation process of their campus improvement plan doesn't just rest with me. So they work with their SBDM and their stakeholders.
Okay, thank you. I'm not wanting to hear that, but I appreciate you and I don't want to be
So
unkind.
could
It's
you be
okay,
more
I'm good. I
okay.
apologize.
No, that's okay.
I'm good. I'm good, man. I appreciate it. I put it,
That's okay.
Okay, we are going to talk just briefly about financial data that was included with our report. As Ms. Seals mentioned at the beginning of this, some information was from 23-24. The financial data is one of those pieces. So again, 2023-24, so not the year that we just finished and had the audit report on, but the year before that. The other piece I want to point out, as you look at the comparisons, it is all funds across the top, so not just general fund, but that's any addition to the general fund, that would be any grants, that would be any districts that have like a bond election, those kinds of things. And so you see our operating revenue compared to the state. We did receive approximately $442 per student more than the state. If I had to make a supposition as to what that came from, I would say that that's mostly impact aid. I do want to report that the report is such a summarized, high-level report. It is very, very difficult to ascertain any real detail about trying to dig into the detail of this. As far as operating expenditures, we did spend slightly less, $54 less than the state per students. The operating expenditures are defined as anything other than either debt payments or capital outlay payments. And the way our capital outlay is funded a lot through the strategic facilities plan, that would be a big factor in that. And then overall fund balance, you see as far as the state is concerned, we are $6,100 less per student than the state on fund balance. As far as tax rates, you see there at the bottom on across the board, the maintenance and operations, the interest and sinking, we are very much below the state on our tax rates. And again, just overall want to point out that this is such a high level. If we're really wanting to dig into valuable information, I would look at either peer comparisons, our first rating, or something along those lines. Questions?
Questions from trustees?
We're going over the police department's annual report. It would be the report on violent crime and criminal incidents reported to the KISD Police Department. For the school year 2024-25, 124 assaults, down 3 from the previous year. Disorderly conducts were up 3 over the previous year. Drug, alcohol, and tobacco cases filed with the department were significantly less. We attribute that to interventions by campus administrators. Theft, burglary, or robberies, 2 less than the year prior. 0 traffic offenses. We had 2 weapons offenses, significant increase in terroristic threats at 21 over the year prior at being 10. Criminal trespass remained relatively the same at 34. Other cases were at 192. Those cases include assisting other agencies locating runaways who arrive at school. When we clear those out, we complete a report and that goes into our system. And unfortunately, we had one homicide last year at Smith Middle School. We had a significant 1.6 decrease per 1,000 students in overall incidents over the previous year. These are discipline actions or incidents that were coded: 2 firearms at a high school, prohibited weapon at a middle school. The weapon, imitation weapons, total incidents. Now that's a student bringing a Nerf gun to elementary school in a backpack, or a cap gun. And it also involves a threat to exhibit or use a weapon on a campus. These are some of the violence prevention, violence intervention procedures that the district participates in. Officers with the police department annually train in active shooter, the standard response protocols, participate with administrators when they're conducting their drills monthly on campus. We have a narcotics canine and an explosive weapons detection canine that routinely perform sweeps on campuses in participation with administrative safety measures. Officers actively participate in Safe School Week. And we're working daily to make our schools safer and drug-free.
It's now open for trustee questions, correct? Questions from trustees? No questions? Okay, I got a couple that I don't need responses to tonight, but just some things that, let's go this route first. It would be, Dr. Davis, so to me, this is probably the single most important document, as it tells the story of our kids. And so I just think it's important that the community understands, and as trustees, we use this document to drive what I'll term resource allocation. So in terms of why we put resources in certain areas. And then I would challenge my fellow trustees that we really take the information for this document and build what I will call our academic accountability framework. Because this tells you where the shortfalls are, because we have our system scorecard, but now this is the latest and greatest news that shows where things are coming short. So I just want, when we are recalibrating on system scorecard and all those things, that we're always referenced back to the most current data and how this impacts that. In terms of when Callum brings that budget forward and we say we're moving money here, I think it's important for us to hear it's moving here because it will impact this, which is what you saw in the TAPER report, whether that's funding 20 new police officers or K-9 dog or, vape, education, things of that nature. And when we start saying, hey, we're putting an extra focus on 7th grade math, because we come back and we reference in this document where it shows we're maybe not hitting the mark like we need to. I think it would be important to put this presentation, I know it was referenced that it's posted, but I think we need to put it on the website, but I think we also need to have what I call a Reader's Digest version of it that is sent directly to everyone in our district so our parents can get it, because this, to me, is the single most important thing, because if you have a kid in the district, they are captured in this data. And so you can get it, and then you can go to the various spots and say, hey, my kid, oh, they're in that grade, and ooh, man, as a district, well, man, my kid's the one who's pushing the needle up, or, oh, my kid's the one who's causing the needle to lean the other direction. And so I think that's important, but not just in the The taper report itself may be, heck, if board book's 230 pages, it might be over the 100 of the pages. It took all my time. But in a form that our system, meaning our students and our families, can process it, and where it makes sense and it helps engage them and understand the importance of what we're doing, whether it's block scheduling, X, Y, Z. And so I think that's really important. And then some of my nitpicky questions that I left alone because we've evolved so much, and I appreciate your work and how this has come so far. But I think about things of groups with the largest deficit being behind the state. And, they break us down by ethnicity. The group that is overall the closest or exceeds state. The group with the most growth, the group with the least growth, and then what areas overall, when we start talking subject matter, where has been our greatest growth? Is it in math? Is it in science? And then where has been our least growth, least amount of growth? Is it history? But that's kind of a Reader's Digest. So then as we, as trustees, we look at it, it kind of helps things make a little more sense when we talk about, the allocation of resources. But, I thought it was it's a big read, but it's in there. Now you got to know how to scan over and know that you're tracking that state, that's us, and then that's the region, and you got to take your fingers down, and you got to know, hey, we're up, we're down, and so it's a lot, but it is just, to me, I think the single most important information, and I've said it every year that I've been on this board. I've said, this is the meeting that everyone should be at, because this is the meat and potatoes of why you show up every day, whether it's an educator, whether it's a student. It's these results. So I appreciate all your work, Dr. Davis, to your team, but that's all I got. Any other questions or comments from trustees? Thank you for your time. Now, big save. Once again, a reminder, anyone wishing to speak pertaining to the Texas Academic Performance Report should submit their sign-up sheet at this time. All comments must be related to the Texas Academic Performance Report. I will now open the floor to the public hearing for comments related to this agenda item. For the record, we ask that all public forum participants begin by stating their name and the city in which they reside. Once complete, your 3 minutes will begin. Ms. Weaver, we have no one signed up to speak in regards to agenda item 6A, the Texas Academic Performance Report. So we are now closing the public hearing on that, and we're now moving to agenda item. Mr. Harper, give me another thumbs up as you walk back in. Okay, we have no one signed up. We're moving to item B, which is discussion regarding revisions to board policy DNA local performance appraisal, evaluation of teachers. Mr. Baker.
Good evening, President Williams, Dr. Davis, members of the board. Thank you so much for giving us some time to talk about our local policy regarding teacher evaluation. We're coming to you with a slight a proposal for a change in it due to the fact that it is time for us to reapply for our program for the teacher incentive allotment. And so every 5 years, we have to go back following this cycle that's in front of you on this timeline and submit our formal application to be a part of the teacher incentive allotment. So you can see there at 2026, it's our 5th year of data collection. It's our 4th year of data validation, which means it's our 4th year in recognizing teachers using the program. And it's also the time that we have to submit another formal application to the state. So why do we need to apply for the renewal? Is because it's part of the renewal application system that the state put in place. Every 5 years, you have to do this. In submitting an expansion or modification application during a 4-year period does not restart the district's renewal timeline, so we have done that. But it still means every 5 years, we have to come back and submit a formal application for the full application to the state. So what do we use to grant someone or to measure a teacher's effectiveness in the TIA system that we have? Well, we looked at both student performance and the T-test, which is our evaluation system. And there you can see just an example of what a recognized teacher needs in the T-test to get that recognized designation, what they need for an exemplary, what they need for a master's. So you can see that we have to have each teacher that goes for a TIA designation get evaluated using the T-test. They can't just submit the student performance scores. So what we're proposing, because in our policy right now, our teachers can apply for basically a waiver every other year. And so they can come and ask for us not to evaluate them if they have met a certain standard. Well, that's not going to work if we submit our application to the state for our TIA program. Everyone who takes part in a TIA subject has to be evaluated every year. So that's the change that we're asking be put in. Very simply, that if you are teaching in a subject that is covered by the TIA, you will not be allowed to ask for a waiver of your evaluation in that year. We need everyone evaluated every year. It affects our application if we don't, and so that's what the change we're asking for. Do you have any questions?
Madam Capito.
Yes, I know that we had, I think, a consultant or somebody that we were working with for this. Are they still working with us and helping along this process?
Yeah, Region 18, yes.
Yeah, and so is this a result of that?
No, this is just part of this is the rules, basically.
Oh, okay.
For us to be a participant in the TIA system,
Got it.
every teacher who we submit data on has to have both their student results and a T-test to go with it.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions? I think the ask is for this to be placed on the consent agenda.
Please, sir.
Any issues with this being placed on the consent agenda at the next regular meeting? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Baker. We'll now move to agenda item C, which is discussion of the LASSO Cycle 4 grant awards for school year 2026-2027 and the LIFT approved technical assistance provider recommendation. Welcome, Dr. Osborne.
Good evening, President Williams, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Davis. Tonight, I will be presenting on learning acceleration support opportunities. And you've heard this before, but we have formally called it LASSO. We just want to make sure you get the full title. And as you know, this is a TEA grant program. To start with a little context and purpose, LASSO is a grant application that consolidates and combines multiple state grants and support programs into one single application. You all probably recall us deciding that we would apply for LASSO, and the deadline was in early December. The LASSO grant has about 15 programs embedded in it, so tonight we'll be providing an update on the programs we applied for as well as what we were not awarded and awarded. The program is designed to accelerate student learning, strengthen instructional systems, and support innovation. And for Killeen ISD, we determined that we would move forward with LASSO based on the strategic opportunity for additional resources directly from the state. And then number two, but certainly not least, the opportunity to provide additional support for our high-priority campuses. So those 15 grant programs fall into 4 buckets or strategic priorities, so to speak. They are listed there with the bullets: curriculum instruction, education and training, which includes the HR grant as well, the opportunity for students to have more time, and then opportunities to expand innovative school models. Here in the table, we have listed the 4 grant programs that we applied for in the LASSO grant back in December. ACE sounds remarkably familiar. We talked about ACE throughout the optimization process. We also applied for ADSE. We also applied for LIFT, and we applied for PREP. We're educators and we love our acronyms. So the actual names of those grant programs are listed in that second row. The ACE program, as you know, is intended to provide additional funding so that we can provide intensive turnaround support at our high-need campuses. On the fourth row of that table, we've listed the 3 campuses we did apply for ACE. And unfortunately, on that last row, we were not awarded for those 3 campuses. In the second column, ADSE, the Additional Days School Year Program, is additional funding to add additional days to the school year, just like it sounds. It's twofold. You would need, as a district, to have a calendar of 175 school days, and we developed a proposed calendar in an effort to get this grant. You would also need to have 25 additional days of summer learning, so almost year-round school. Trustee Jones, almost year-round school, and it is an incredible idea. We know time on task matters to kids and their success. We applied for ADSE for the 4 campuses listed there on the 4th row. We spoke with principals, gave them an opportunity to decide if that might be a good idea for their communities. We even considered the campuses that are right next to each other, like Brookhaven and Ransier. Unfortunately, we were not awarded the ADSE dollars through the LASSO grant. With the bold yellow line, we are indicating the 2 grant programs that we were awarded for, LIFT and PREP. We're going to talk a little bit more in detail for both of those programs so the board and the public have good information and understanding about how we will proceed with supporting our academics and our strategic staffing. In the LIFT column, you see that we identified 5 campuses, 1 elementary school in Willow Springs, and then 4 middle schools. Trustee Adams, you've spoken quite a bit about what are we doing for the middle schools. That was a very serious conversation that we had as a cross-divisional team. You'll see that we have listed there Nolan and Patterson, which will receive the plurality of our students from our closure campuses that are troubled at this time. So at this time, we're going to go a little deeper in both programs, and I'm going to pass it off to Mr. Baker to talk about LASSO PREP.
Thank you, Dr. Osborne. Basically, what the PREP grant does for us is give us some funding from the state for programs we already have in place and that you have provided assistance for us to begin, and we thank you for that. So we have our PREP residency program that we do with Texas A&M Central Texas. If we keep that program going, we can get money from the state and be able to raise the pay that we give those residents in their year where they are teaching for us as a resident. And so we hope to increase the number of participants based on that added funding, so we're excited about that. As you know, we also have our Teacher Apprentice Grow Your Own program. We'll be able to get some money from the state to help in that area as well, to support those teacher apprentices that we have in that program, so we're super excited about that. And then the third part of this that we're really excited about is now we're going to be able to give some money to our teachers who are acting as mentors in those programs and train them up on how to be better mentors and also provide them some extra funds as well. So we're real excited about all 3 of those areas that we're going to get some money from the state for to support. Any questions?
Questions from trustees?
Thank you. You're a little taller than I am, Will. Thank you, Mr. Baker. At this time, I want to go a little deeper into LASSO LIFT, and we're going to spend a little more time here because tonight we will be recommending a technical assistance provider that would require board action in the March 24th meeting. So just want to make sure you are fully abreast and understand the process we've walked through for the recommendation. So to talk a little bit more about LIFT, it is Leadership and Instructional Foundations of Texas. It is a 3-year grant program, and as mentioned, we have 5 campuses that we are awarded LIFT grant for. Previously, LIFT was multiple grants. They're listed in the 3rd line there, Strong Foundations, Texas Instructional Leadership, and Texas Lesson Study. So it is a new version of 3 previous grants under the LASSO umbrella. Essentially, what you see on the graphic on the right-hand side captures the totality of an essence of LIFT. It is implementation of high-quality instructional materials, combined with instructional leadership capacity building to best serve the student. I have a graphic here directly from TEA, so we want to make sure the public as well as our campuses understand the sequence of this 3-year grant. I have a few stars where I want to touch point on. You can enter the LIFT grant program in 2 ways. You can enter as a planning year school, and you would be planning a State Board of Education HQIM. We do have State Board of Education HQIM adopted in Savas and iReady. Or you can enter the LIFT grant program as an implementation year. And as you see on that arrow, it doesn't just say HQIM. The intent is to implement Bluebonnet Learning. We'll talk a little more about that as we move through the approval process. And I want to move to which schools, how much money, what does it mean for our campuses? So our grant award in year 1 of 3 years, and this is just for year 1, is $627,000. Before we talk about the money, let's talk about the actual programming and the school selected. On that second row of the table, you see that Willow Springs Elementary School is our implementation year school. So if I go back, they're entering in that light blue, and that implementation is associated with Bluebonnet Learning. We are specifically looking at piloting K-2 math of Bluebonnet. We considered the entire K-5 continuum. We considered whether we would apply and move forward with RLA, but we believe that we can make the biggest difference by doing a K-2 pilot, taking some time to recalibrate with our STAR grades, which is 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So just want to make sure it's clear why we didn't do the whole continuum right away. And we only have 1 campus selected, and that principal is quite excited about the opportunity and has some experience with Bluebonnet Math previously. Our campuses that are moving into the planning year are the middle schools that we have focused on. We have 2 middle schools that have previously had a D in their accountability rating in JDA and Live Oak Ridge. And then, of course, we're focused on our plurality schools that will receive campus students from the campuses Palo Alto and Eastern Hills. And again, that means that they'll do planning year with our current curriculum, which is Savas in reading and iReady in mathematics, and build those instructional leadership, PLC frameworks in order to move towards implementation of Bluebonnet. We'll continue with our same 6-8 math curriculum, which is iReady. And then let's talk a little bit about how that award is divided up. You get a certain amount for that 1 school in implementation. That's why you see the difference between 194,000, and then a significantly higher amount in the 432,000 for more campuses. So that's your difference you see there. I have highlighted on the far right-hand side who gets which portions of money. So the intent is for LIFT to capacity build, and they're not asking the district to capacity build ourselves. They're expecting us to utilize approved providers to do that work in building our teachers, instructional leaders, and district leaders. We get 30%, which you see in the note, and that's why the column with Killeen ISD amounts are significantly lower, because the pour in of the money is for the technical assistance provider to build the capacity of our staff. So I have that 194,000, then you see Killeen's 30% of that, and then you see the 70% for the technical assistance provider, and that's listed the same formula of listing on the planning year line. Any questions about the money breakdown, the campuses, or our focus areas before I talk about the technical assistance provider?
Questions? We're good on that end, Mr. Mintz?
I appreciate the water break. So there's most certainly a question around what does that 70% of $627,000 $27,000 get us? What does that mean for the technical assistance provider? So I have listed out some of the responsibilities. First and foremost, our technical assistance provider will work with our campuses and our district staff to conduct a needs assessment. They don't just come in and decide to run a standardized play of support. The intent is to decide how we're doing in each of the levers of school improvement and instructional leadership. And then on line 2, you see that they support us in writing a 3-year action plan to improve each of those lever areas. One of the important things that we receive and support we get from our technical assistance providers are tools and templates, frameworks, and systems. So TEA has released several templates associated with the work that we do on a daily basis. A good example is like a walkthrough or observation instrument. So we will work with the technical assistance provider to calibrate and implement that designated tool through the LIFT program. They'll also do significant capacity building at the district and campus level around instructional leadership, as I've mentioned, PLC, observation, data disaggregation, and conduct professional development and coaching. Last but not least, and we know this is a grant program, so there are compliance requirements and submissions. Our technical assistance provider supports us in implementation of that, as well as submitting to the state and then moving towards sustainability. So how did we select the recommendation that we're bringing forward tonight? We did not open a RFP because TEA provides a pre-approved list of technical assistance providers for us to select from. It's about 200 providers, and they encourage districts to review the list. Not all of the lists can do each grant, so the list for LIFT was significantly shorter, about 50 providers available. We make contact with those providers, and then they also encouraged us to interview. One of the LIFT guidelines recommends that districts that have current partners that are on the approved list, we might consider continuing the work with them if they are pre-approved. And that's so that you can establish and continue to establish the common language, common practices, common templates, or traction that you might previously have with a district partner. With that in mind, we brought forward 2 consultants that are working with the district currently, and we brought forward 5 providers from the list. With the support and direction of Dr. Davis, we looked specifically at providers that had worked with large, diverse districts and seen success in the implementation of HQIM, specifically Bluebonnet. That approval process also included the structured interview. So we did a speed dating for our consultant vendors of about 30 minutes. They had a prescribed presentation, discussion prompts, and then we did a Q&A and had an opportunity to ask follow-up questions or request additional materials. Any questions about the process or the responsibilities?
Questions?
And with that in mind, we have selected out of that 7 interviewees, Region 12. They are a provider we've worked with previously, and it was a recommendation that we might move forward with the provider that we'd worked with previously. However, that was not the sole reason that we selected Region 12. Above and beyond their demonstrated expertise in the LIFT grant programs, specifically the 3 programs that existed prior to LIFT, Strong Foundations, Texas Lesson Study, Texas Instructional Leadership. They had experience in those 3 grants, but they also spoke at a more sophisticated level about how their departments that previously did the 3 grants would work together seamlessly to do this one umbrella grant program. That was a differentiator in the region's presentation that made us really comfortable with recommending them as a provider. In addition to that, of course, we have established relationships with the region. They are extremely familiar with the strengths and unique needs of our district, and with the assistance that they've provided thus far, they have had a record of high quality support.
Is that a pause for questions?
Just want to check in.
Everybody's good?
Okay. So just to take you through the timeline, because where we stand right now is about in the middle of this process of the grant, specifically the LIFT grant. So we applied back in December, that's not even on the timeline, and then we were awarded on February 2nd. We've participated in several kickoff meetings for all of the LASSO grants, to include the PrEP grant and the LIFT grant. And we conducted our interviews as prescribed by TEA to select a provider. So here today, we're presenting for LASSO LIFT that our recommended provider is Region 12. We do believe we'll do a combination of work to ensure the other 45 campuses are covered and supported. But for the 5 campuses in the LIFT program, we'll utilize the region. On the Tuesday after spring break, we'll have the contract. In fact, that contract will be available this week in extras so that you can take a look at it in advance of the requested approval on the 24th. Our first grant requirement is to submit a contract that's been approved to TEA by April 1st. So we are on a tight timeline with making sure we groove into the requirements of TEA in order to get the $627,000 and technical assistance support. And then from there, we'll start, as I mentioned, the needs assessment, establish that action plan, and initiate PD as early as May for district leadership, and then begin the trickle-down process of support. Before we conclude, we want to acknowledge that we applied for ACE for 3 campuses, and we applied for ADSE for 4 campuses. And while we did not get awarded at the senior staff and district staff level in conjunction with input from the campus principals, we are thinking about what we do for our priority campuses. There are some things listed here that are not totally codified, but we want to make sure that you are aware and the public's aware that the non-awarded campuses are still priority. We've discussed strategic and prioritized staffing at those high-need campuses. We began this process of determining enhanced compensation through stipends for teachers that are deemed highly qualified, to attract them to the campuses where we continue to have need for additional support. As I've discussed in previous board meetings, we are shifting to a model of content-based expertise in our instructional coaching positions. We will conduct targeted professional development, as I mentioned, with an additional provider for all campuses to include specialty targeted professional development for our high-priority campuses. And at the request of the board, we have made sure that our high-need campuses have summer learning on their sites. We want to make sure that those students have the greatest opportunity to get summer learning and have any intervention needs fulfilled. With that, I'll answer any question or yield to any comments, and we will bring this recommendation back for approval the Tuesday after spring break.
Madam Capito.
You said that there were the 2 that we did not get awarded. What was the first grant and the second grant amounts that were not awarded?
We are unsure of what the amount would have been. They provide information in 2 ways. The first one lets you know you are awarded or not, and then you get a letter with the grant amount if you were awarded. So because we weren't awarded, we never knew exactly what that amount would have been.
Have we determined how much to run the programs that you've submitted for would cost?
We have started working through those numbers with specific stipend amounts or the cost of extended days for staff.
Okay, and I'm just really asking because if this is a priority, then we need to know that so we can support in a budget format to be able to still make things happen, and so we need to know the amounts.
Yes, ma'am.
Trustee Gilchrist.
You don't have to answer this today, but I'm interested in knowing how are we getting the information for the summer-based learning program to those campuses that we're targeting that are, the ones that we're really trying to enhance and make sure those parents and those students know, hey, you can get extra help in the summer, but we need to start that now, not later.
Yes, sir.
And I'd just like to get some feedback about, hey, how that information is getting out. That's all.
Yes, sir.
Trustee Mintz.
I guess a question or comment for Dr. Davis. And as I look at this, I'm always I'm thinking of electric school buses. So, and here's why I ask about, and why I preface it with that, is what we're doing here aligning with what the most important things that we need to be doing? Or is it free money that we don't really need?
Great question, because as we know, all money is not good money. That's what my daddy used to tell me, right? But as it relates to that, no, I do believe this is in alignment. As it relates to LIFT, that's why we applied. As the LASSO grant came to fruition, I actually encouraged and really directed the team to apply for all four of the grants you saw today. So I think all play a part. We know what the ACE grant does ultimately, and unfortunately we weren't awarded. But let's talk about LIFT. I do believe it aligns with ultimately where we're trying to go with providing more support and all the things we're trying to do with campuses and or leaders, and it just undergirds that with funding and that technical assistance to help us do that.
And then when I look at the campuses I don't know that those are the campuses that need it most. So do we, and maybe I'm wrong, you can tell me I'm wrong, but if that is, do we have any ability to shift this to other campuses? Again, I think back to, some of the discussions we've had about kind of making the most important things the most important things. And I just see and I'll accept what you said about it, but I just want to make sure that we're kind of really focusing our efforts. And I don't know if we have any ability to shift off of it at this point, or if it just is what it is and we'll push forward.
Yeah, if I may, so a couple of things. I do believe at the end of the day, the board has responded, which I believe in the right manner as it relates to the decision for the campus closures and our 1882 partnership. But keep in mind, we are addressing the two areas that I would say we absolutely have to have a laser-like focus on, and that's the two campuses that will have the plurality of children, which you saw on that list. It was Patterson and Nolan. That's what's at stake. Does that make sense? So that's where we're putting more support. And then we also, was important for us to, and I charged the team with, also getting buy-in. So the campuses you saw listed there, we wanted to make sure we pilot, we do a gradual release, if you will, because we want campuses and leaders to want to desire to do some of these programs, because it's a heavy lift. As you all are hearing, as I'm pushing out the survey, there's some real concern about initiative fatigue. And so we're trying to take our time on some things while also addressing some real needs. And so the campuses you saw there, we really got buy-in from some leaders, and really that would buy into these programs. So that was critically important. Now, the two campuses I mentioned, they must, for obvious reasons. That makes sense? All right.
Any other questions, feedback from trustees? Does that conclude your presentation, Dr. Osborne?
Yes, sir.
Clarification, is the request for this to be consent agenda, or is this just going to be a regular agenda item?
The request would be regular agenda items so that the contract could be thoroughly reviewed as an action item,
Okay, an action item on the,
so that you might have an opportunity to ask questions regarding the contract. But if,
okay, I'm probably, make sure I'm not confusing it then. I'm thinking exactly. I'm talking about the, what's the word? The facilitator. Is there an agreement with the facilitator, or is that just a selection? Maybe that's where I'm,
yes, sir, the item we're bringing back is a contract with Region 12 as the technical assistance provider. And that will be available in extras for review, and we just want to make ourselves available for questions that you might have related to that contract.
okay, tracking. Got the clarity I need. Thank you very much. We're good.
And then if we need to pull it, pull it.
Okay. All right, now, got notes everywhere. Okay. We'll now move to, I think I'm going to say this right. Diana's back there. Okay. The board will now convene in closed session as allowed under Texas Government Code 551.0821, 551.071, 551.074, and 551.072. No voting will take place in closed session. Any action the board wishes to take as a result of discussions in closed sessions will take place after the board reconvenes in the open meeting. The time is now 7:16 PM, and we are in closed session, and we'll go in the superintendent's conference room. Thank you. The time is now 8:17 PM, and we are reconvening from closed session. No action or voting took place in closed session. We will now go back to agenda item number 9 under, I got pieces of paper everywhere. No, we're going to go back to agenda item number 9, consideration and possible action on proposed settlement agreement to resolve special education matters involving TEA docket number 131-SC-1125, including possible delegation of authority to the superintendent to execute the final settlement agreement on behalf of the district. This is an action item. Madam Capito.
I would like to move to approve the proposed settle agreement, TEA docket number 131-SE-1125, and authorize the superintendent to execute all necessary documents on behalf of the district.
We have a motion by Madam Capito. We have a second by Trustee Gilchrist. Any further discussion by trustees? There being none, all those in favor, show of hands. All right, we have 7 in favor, none in opposition, passes 7-0. Thank you very much. We'll now, okay, let me get my language here. This is the absolute greatest. Okay, the board will now reconvene in closed session once again, as allowed by Texas Government Code 551.0821, 551.071, 551.074, and 551.072. No voting will take place in closed session. Any action the board wishes to take as a result of discussions in closed session will take place after the board reconvenes in the open meeting. The time is now 8:19 PM, and we will return to closed session in the superintendent's conference room. Thank you. The time is now, 9:55 PM, and we are reconvening from closed session. No action or voting took place in closed session. We are now going to agenda item number 8, which is a consideration and possible action regarding a level 3 parent complaint. Trustee Mintz.
Mr. President, I move that we uphold the administration's decision on the grievance and deny the relief requested.
We have a motion by Trustee Mintz. We have a second by Trustee Gilchrist. Any further discussion by the board? There being no further discussion, all those in favor, show of hands. We have 7 in favor, none in opposition, passes by 7-0 vote. Thank you for your time. Excuse me. We'll now move back to agenda item number 7, which is consideration and possible action to rescind the December 16th, 2025 proposal to terminate the professional term contract of Ray Ann Byrne. This is an action item. Madam Secretary.
Mr. President, I move to rescind the December 16, 2025 proposal to terminate the professional term contract of Ryan Byrne.
We have a motion by Secretary Adams. We have a second by Trustee Mintz. Any further discussion by the Board of Trustees? There being none, all those in favor, show of hands. We have 7 in favor, none in opposition, 7-0 vote. Thank you for your time. We'll now move to agenda item number 10, consideration and possible action regarding the superintendent's contract recommendation for deputy superintendent for learning services. Dr. King Davis, anything you care to say?
No, I think, again, thank you. Again, I don't have much to say except for, as we continue to reorg and restructure for the organization and moving forward, I recommend Dr. Donald Stewart.
Any questions by members of the Board of Trustees? There being none, this is an action item for your consideration. Trustee Mintz.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the superintendent's recommendation for the Deputy Superintendent of Learning Services, Dr. Stewart.
I have a motion by Trustee Mintz. I think I probably saw three. We have a second by Trustee Marvin Rainwater. Any further discussion by the Board of Trustees? There being none, all those in favor, show of hands. We have 7 in favor, none in opposition. Thank you and welcome, Dr. Stewart, to Team Killeen Independent School District. We'll now move to agenda item number 11, discussion of future board meeting agendas and trustee remarks. We're going to start down on the left today, and we'll start with Trustee Rodney Gilchrist.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I just have 2 comments tonight. I don't have any agenda items for placing on future agendas, but I do want to just remind parents and students, we've had a couple of incidents that just kind of attracted my attention where we had some students hit by vehicles crossing roads in unsafe conditions. And I just want to remind parents and students to use the crosswalks with the crossing guards as much as possible and try to cross at well-lit intersections with crosswalks and things. Just be safe and be mindful that just because you see a vehicle don't mean they see you. And just remind the kids to be extra careful. We've had two students hit in the last couple of days, and it's just been on my mind. They just remind people, be safe first. The other thing is, let's just keep the main thing, and we know what the main thing is educating our kids. So thank you all, and thank the board and all that are making the main thing. Thank you.
Trustee Marvin Rainwater.
Just one thing, as we go down this 1882, is it a charter school? Is it a? Partnership. I just want to make sure we do everything we can to let our parents know how that school's going to run, what it's going to be in, and make sure they understand thoroughly what we're doing when we're trying to do it. It's just so important.
Madam Vice President, I'm going to jump across and I'm going to get you right before me. We're going to go down to the other end, Madam Capito.
I just really want to thank the staff and everyone for all the great things that have been going on. We had Science Olympiad. We had lots of really great activities and showcasing our student work, and that's because of the hard work of our staff. So just thank you to everybody for everything that we're doing to make sure students are being successful.
Thank you. Trustee Mintz.
Just make a comment. I think, we often lose sight, and especially sitting up here in the boardroom and the people that, the parts of the team that we regularly interact with, there's often a wide gulf between them and the folks that are making things happen every day on campus. And I just want to, express some appreciation for the folks that are the bus drivers, the custodial teams, the aides, the folks who make all of the stuff happen behind the scenes. And I would just ask, if our campus leadership here in the next couple of days before everybody takes off for spring break, just give a pat on the back to those folks that don't often get one, because without them the wheels will come off the bus, no pun intended.
Thank you. Secretary Adams.
Yes, I just want to encourage everyone to be safe during the spring break, and it's well-deserved rest, relaxation, and we just want our staff, our students, our parents, our community to just take this time to spend with family. Some of you will be traveling. Be safe, and we really appreciate you, but we know this time is going to be well spent, so enjoy yourselves.
Thank you. Vice President Jones.
Nothing really, just grateful to be back in Texas, and God bless Texas. And we got some good weather coming in, hopefully. We don't have a torrential rainstorm tonight. We have severe thunderstorms tonight, so y'all be safe going home. Spring break is around the corner, and I would just implore everyone to come back with an open heart and dedicated to getting through the rest of the year without incidents. And I hope the parents will encourage their children to push forward hard and keep in mind our soldiers and airmen and sailors who are all keeping up the good fight out there. And remember, wherever you travel, the price of oil has gone up a little bit, so mind your budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Just want to echo Trustee Gilchrist, the safety, be safe. Of course, Mr. Mintz talking about how all of our people do a really good job, and I just want to echo that. Spring break's coming. Be safe, enjoy yourself on that time, and then, and also, once again, piggybacking on Trustee Gilchrist on the main thing, and it's all about achievement, student achievement, student achievement, student achievement. And so, but glad to be a part of the team, and I think we're on the right path, but it takes hard work and focus and tough decisions, but I think we got the right folks within the district to make all that happen. And so grateful for what we do and grateful for the leadership of you, Dr. Davis, and we'll give it to you for your time now.
All right, I will conclude with just encouraging our parents, our staff. We are literally in the fourth quarter of the school year, and we know what's at stake. Testing is around the corner. We're less than 20 days before testing kicks off, right? And so I'm just encouraging everyone to, for our parents who are listening in, just really help and partner with us, encouraging your children. We know this can be high anxiety during testing season, so just really partnering with us and just ensuring that our kiddos are ready. I know our staff is making some adjustments at this time of year, and it's just all hands on deck. We're in this thing together, and there's no doubt we're going to get it done, and just want to encourage everyone to stay focused, stay encouraged, and we will get it done. So enjoy spring break and be safe.
I'll circle back here and Trustee Rainwater.
Susan made me think of this, but I just want to make sure we can keep our servicemen in our prayers and their families in our prayers. And it's such a indefinite, tension-packed kind of deal for those guys, and they do so much we don't know about. But I just think, man, if we could spend some time praying for them, it'd really be good for everybody.
Thank you, sir, for emphasizing that, and I ditto that statement as well as everyone up here. So now we'll move to agenda item number 12. I think there's a race. Madam Secretary.
I move to adjourn, sir.
We have a motion by Secretary Adams. We have a second by Madam Capito. Without there being any further discussion, all those in favor of adjourning this meeting at 10:05 p.m. on March 10th, 2026, a show of hands. We have 7 in favor, none in opposition. We are adjourned. Thank you for your time. We'll see you in 2 weeks.